The first of the two revolutions that I will cover will be the Texas Revolution. The first thing you will need to know about the Texas Revolution is that in the early 1800s, Texas was ruled by Indians. To reclaim the land, Mexico enticed people to move with cheap land, and the charismatic impresarios such as Stephen F. Austin did a fantastic job at bringing people to Mexico. But as the Romans tried and only the Mongols can pull off, Mexico didn't do a very good job at converting the foreigners. The mastermind behind it all was Santa Anna. He has a full name, but you know how Latinos are on their long names. The first battle of the Texas Revolution was the Battle of Gonzales. It was a skirmish between Santa Anna and his troops against some rednecks refusing to give up a cannon. The Texans were victorious in the Battle of Gonzales. The fight that really makes everyone's blood boil is the Battle of the Alamo. 200 Texans stood, but lost their ground to a much larger Mexican attack. With David Crockett at his scarcely fortified log wall and Jim Bowie bedridden, they didn't stand much of a chance. Jim Bowie was rumored to kill Mexican soldiers as they walked into his room. The Mexicans, per order of Santa Anna, burnt all the bodies of the soldiers at the Alamo. This didn't sit well with the Texans, only strengthening their will to fight back. What really pissed off all the rednecks was the Battle of Goliad, where 400 soldiers, led by James Fannin, were all killed. The death of Commander Fannin and his troops inspired the Goliad part in the Remember the Alamo chant.
Can't you remember anything?
I remembered the Alamo.
The last laugh, however, was to be had by Sam Houston and the rebels at the Battle of San Jacinto. All of Houston's troops were deployed during siesta to crush the Mexican army and capture Santa Anna in 18 minutes. And with Santa Anna out, Sam Houston became the president of the Republic of Texas until the annexation of 1945. For my next revolution, I will be doing the American Revolution. The King of England at the time was King George III. The three acts in charge for creating great distaste for the British government were the Tea Act, the Sugar Act, and the Stamp Act. The Tea Act put an added tax on any tea being sold in the colonies. The Stamp Act made it so every piece of document coming from the British government had to be checked by the British government and taxed extra before going to the colonies. The Sugar Act placed a tax on any sugar item that went into the colonies. In the late 1760s, in an attempt to quell the political unrest, British government sent more British troops over to the colonies. The added troops created even more unrest, and on March 5th, 1770, the Boston Massacre happened. On July 4th, 1776, the Declaration of Independence was signed, written by Thomas Jefferson and signed by our founding fathers. At Lexington, on April 19, 1775, an unknown soldier fired the first shot of the American Revolution. For the British Army, General Cornwallis was in charge. And for the colonies, George Washington was put in charge of the rebels. French nobleman Marquis de Lafayette cannot be forgotten, as he aided the colonies to victory. On October 19, 1781, Cornwallis and 8,000 men surrendered at Yorktown. At Yorktown, they were fighting, expecting there to be ships that never showed up. I will now compare and contrast the two revolutions. Both revolutions are very similar, but the Texas Revolution only took 7 months, it had much fewer battles, and the Mexicans and the Anglo-Saxons just didn't have much in common. The American Revolution, on the other hand, took much longer, had many more battles, but they did share language and culture with their mother country. In both instances, the mother countries left the colonists alone at first, but after some uprisings, the mother country tries to crack down, but in the end, the small group of rebels is able to defeat large military groups with much better training.